Hello everybody, what is up? Welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here, then welcome. My name is Tibi, and today we are talking about WoW Classic Addons. What are my recommendations? What do I find to be the best add-on to get for Classic WoW? Now I do realize a bunch of you do not want to play with add-ons, and that's totally fine, but if you want the quality of life improvement that retail currently has, not a bunch of features, but just the really essential ones, then just keep on watching the video and you can decide for yourself. Now before we continue, if this video is useful to you in any way, shape or form, please consider subscribing, liking the video, sharing, all that good jazz. It really does help me out a lot. But without any further ado, let's get into the video. Right, now before we begin, please note that these add-ons are a collection of quality of life improving add-ons meant to make things easier. However, I'm fully aware that many of you want to play the game for the added difficulty or the added grindiness of the game, so none of these add-ons need to be installed. You can play the game just fine with 0 add-ons like most people did when the game launched and still have a great experience. You probably won't be as efficient as possible, but if that's not something that you're concerned about, then by all means play the game however you like. Okay, so here we go. The first one on the list, in no particular order, is QuestE. Now, since Classic WoW does not have an easy or meaningful way of tracking quests, besides you going to your quest log and reading a novel, just to find out that the 37 boars killed were the brown ones. However, you now need to embark on a pilgrimage, travel across 3 mountains to kill 10 grey boars. Now, don't get me wrong, mob grinding is essential to your leveling process in Classic, and you should absolutely do that. But if you want to avoid these things, then you should definitely install QuestE. This is pretty much the Classic equivalent of Azeroth Autopilot. Now, it's not as complete as its BFA counterpart, however, in my opinion, is the best quest and leveling helper you can get. Now, a word of caution, we might see some bugs and glitches with the add-on here and there, because the classic beta only allowed a maximum level of 40, so QuestE may have some issues in zones above that level, but I'm sure that, you know, as Classic launches, they will figure out the kinks and fix all the bugs. Alright, now moving on, we have Details, or Recount. This one is pretty straightforward, and pretty much everybody is used to one of these add-ons. So you can find the Classic WoW version of Recount in the link below. Actually, I will have all the links for all the add-ons in a top pinned comment. However, Details should work as is on Classic as well. You can find the Classic equivalent of Details as well. Simply head over to CurseForge and download the appropriate version, and it should work on Classic as well. For anybody that doesn't know what the add-on is, it basically tracks your DPS or HPS. You can track how many interrupts have been used within your group, so you can call out all the noobs that let every possible mob cast absolutely everything in the game without even batting an eye. It's a good way to start a temper tantrum, basically. So if you're into that, then Details or Recount. Now, I would like to say that I do recommend Details myself over Recount. It's a bit more robust. I really do like the fact that you can have 2 windows, whereas in Recount, as far as I know, you can only have 1 window, and it's not as detailed as Details. Alright, so now moving on, we have Leatrix plus Classic. This one is a big time saver as well as quality of life improver. Instead of installing a bunch of separate add-ons, you have most of the essentials all bundled up in this add-on. It has quite an extensive feature list, but the most popular ones I would like to mention are quest automation, so automatically select, accept and turn in quests. Quests which have a gold, currency or crafting requirement are excluded automatically. Junk selling automation, so it just sells a gray item in your bag when you talk to a merchant. Now, merchants which refuse to buy items are again excluded. Manage tooltip, move, rescale, and color the tooltip and show the unit's target. So again, really useful, especially for WoW Classic. Then you have display cooldowns, shows up to 5 beneficial cooldown icons of your choice above the target frame for easy cooldown tracking. Then you have manage frames, so again you can move and rescale the player frame, the target frame, the buff frame, widget top center frame, and mirror timer bar frame. Then we have combat plates, show nameplates automatically when combat starts. Again, that's super useful. I love, especially if you're playing a range class, all the nameplates of the enemies showing up automatically upon combat is extremely useful. And I don't know, it's at this point it's actually difficult for me to play without that. Then we have max camera zoom, which increases the maximum camera distance to get a bigger view of the action. And lastly, faster looting. This is, oh my god, so you basically loot creatures significantly faster, but this one is a huge time saver, especially if you consider that we do not have mass looting in WoW Classic. The faster looting option that Leatrix Plus offers is just invaluable. I freaking love it. Overall, it's a fantastic add-on which has a bunch of useful features just baked into it. Highly recommend getting this one. Omni CC, I was going to recommend this add-on to keep track of cooldowns on items and spells. However, it looks like it has been baked into the WoW Classic standard UI, so there's no real need to install this one. However, you might still need it in order to get other add-ons to work. It really depends on what else you're going to install, but something like Classic Aura Duration, if you want that, then it's very likely that you'll need Omni CC as well. So just keep this one on the back burner, and you know, we'll see if we need to install this or not. But simply for the fact of what the add-on does, you won't need it because they implemented this in the standard UI, which is great. Now moving on, we have Omen Threat Meter. So back in vanilla, threat was a very real thing and everybody had to take it seriously. Like DPS, healers, tanks alike, it just didn't matter. Everybody had to watch this. It will basically show you the exact amount of threat that each group member is pulling. That way you know exactly when to ease up on the DPS so the tank can get more threat, or the tank will see healers maybe pulling threat and act accordingly. Now, as a DPS, you'll want to manage your threat all the time. Mostly, you'll be the one responsible for your threat generation, and as we all know, a dead DPS class is a bad DPS class. So, you know, regardless which OP class you chose, if you're dead, then, you know, your whole OP-ness won't matter much. Now, please keep in mind that Omen Threat Meter doesn't really work right now, but that shouldn't be too big of a problem, especially in the first few weeks of the launch, depending on how neckbeard you want to go. Then by the time you start getting into the raiding scene, I'm 100% sure that we'll have a fully functional threat meter add-on. Now, the next invaluable add-on is called Classic Casbars. This one is pretty self-explanatory. It simply displays a Casbar on your opponent, just like Retail WoW's default UI. But since WoW Classic does not have a Casbar display option, you know, this add-on is here to help, and I would highly recommend you install this add-on because it's just a lifesaver. I remember back in vanilla, like arcane mages and druids and whatnot kept using their Hearthstone just because it lit up their hands and it looked like they're casting an arcane spell, and that was just to bait an interrupt, and you know, they were actually casting their Hearthstone, but without an actual cast bar you had no idea what you're doing, so you always try to interrupt the Hearthstone. So you know, if you don't want that to happen, then definitely get classic cast bars. Now, since we're on the tracking topic of the game, another great add-on is Classic Aura Durations. This add-on is essentially a debuff timer. It will be super handy for each and every class, especially for the ones that rely a lot on dots, bleeds, poisons, stuff like that. Unlike retail WoW, there's no built-in feature to see what you're already applied to your enemy, so classic aura duration is an essential add-on to get for a better dot tracking and optimization. Okay, now moving further down the list, we have DBM, as in Deadly Boss Mods. Now, I'm sure that 99% of people are familiar with DBM. It's usually the first add-on you install once a new patch launches or you reinstall the game for some reason. Essentially, the add-on tries to help you not look like a complete idiot. That's pretty much it. but I mean, in all seriousness, it simply tracks boss or highly dangerous mob abilities. It warns you that standing in fire is not a good idea, as cozy it may seem, and generally helps you not annoy your healers and teammates with messing up the entire raid group and then getting benched for the next month. That's pretty much DBM in a nutshell. Okay, moving further down the list, we do know that gold farming will be huge in Classic WoW. Even if you aren't really into gold farming, at a certain scale you will have to farm some gold in some way, shape or form. This can be something as simple as knowing what to vendor, or if you find yourself with no backspace left and you're not able to port to town or don't feel like running to a location with a vendor available, then you'll have to start destroying items of lower value in order to make room for higher value. Vendor price is an excellent add-on to help you out. It simply displays the value of each item, so you know if it's worth vendoring, or out of the 2 items, you know which has the lower price value, so you can take an educated decision and destroy the cheaper one. Very handy, lightweight, and essential to each and every classic player. Continuing on the notion of currency and gold farming or gold gathering, this list wouldn't be complete without an auction house add-on. For this reason, I recommend installing Auctionator. Now, Auctionator is an auction house automation tool. Helps you scan the auction house, creates a database, and posts items really quickly. You can set undercut price margins, bid margins, and all around makes your life easier when it comes to posting items on the auction house. It also creates a database of scanned items and will display the last known price of said item on the auction house, the vendor price, and the disenchant price. I especially love the disenchant price display since I'm going to get enchanting on my mage. Now, it helps me decide whether or not I want to disenchant the item or vendor it, depending on the latest price. I've used Auctionator for quite a few years on retail as well before deciding to switch to TSM. I've seen that TSM is also updated for WoW Classic, but it seems that there are a lot of people that absolutely hate the idea of TSM getting into WoW Classic. So it's just there, and I saw that it's going to be ready for WoW Classic. And the last add-on on the list, still somewhat related to economy, but mainly quality of life, will be Atlas Loot Classic. Atlas Loot Classic, it's pretty much the counterpart of Retail WoW's Dungeon Journal feature as far as loot goes. However, it's more complete, as in it will show you by default any and all items a boss will drop. This works for both dungeons and raids. Another really useful feature the add-on has to offer is the ability to browse through crafted items and see the exact requirements for anything that can be crafted. You can sort by profession, by item type, armor type, anything. Say you need like a bigger bag, right? Because you'll always need bigger fun bags. You'll just open up Atlas Loot, select tailoring as a profession, select the type of bag you're looking for, and the info about professional level and crafting materials needed, those will all just pop up. Then you'll be off searching through your friends list for a tailor that can craft that for you, or just spam trade chat, whatever floats your boat. Now, as an honorable mention, though, one of the most powerful add-ons available would be Weakauras. Now, I'm not a die-hard classic purist myself, and I do love all the add-ons I've listed, but Weakauras is a bit too much even for me. I feel like it makes WoW Classic too much like retail WoW, and I think these should be kept completely separate. Of course, this is my own personal opinion. If you do want to install Weakauras, then by all means, go for it. Should be easy enough to find a download link for it, as well as extensive documentation, scripts, guides, what have you. You know, in the end, you do you, boo-boo. Finally, some really solid resources for reliable add-ons I could recommend would be CurseForge. You can either install the Twitch app or download add-ons individually and then manually add them into the add-ons folder. And another one would be Will It Classic. This is pretty much like CurseForge, however all the add-ons are specifically designed for Classic WoW. No need to rummage through a large list of add-ons and filtering out all the ones that aren't meant for Classic WoW. This just makes life a bit easier, and I guess that's what this video is about. Alright, and that concludes today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you will get some use out of it. And I would like to ask each and every one of you that if you think that I've left an essential add-on off of this list, or maybe you have a personal favorite that you just cannot play without, then simply leave it down in the comment section below so everybody could enjoy those add-ons, because I'm sure I might have missed some, and that is where you come in. So again, thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. It really does help out a lot. With that being said, I will see everybody in the next video. Until then, have a great one.